Hello and welcome back to Sustainability Live London on the virtual stage. We're having a great time today and we hope you are too, whether you're watching via Umbrella or joining us from Business Design Centre in London today as well. Next up, we have a panel discussion titled B Corp. Is it the right choice for your business? I'm joined by three lovely guests, so please join me in welcoming them. We have Celeste Leverton, who is the Associate Director of Sustainability Manager at Coutts. She currently works there and leads Coutts through the B Corp certification process and now actively speaks to clients, investors, prospects, and suppliers about implementing and improving their own sustainability strategies. We also have Eloise Cotton, who is Sustainable Development Project Manager at Schneider Electric UK and Ireland. She works with the UK and Ireland sites to implement programs to achieve Schneider's ambitious sustainability targets. Her background is in sustainable development with a focus on carbon accounting and energy policy. Her experience includes delivering decarbonisation and renewable energy strategies and projects for a wide range of stakeholders, from government entities to startups to large multinationals. And lastly, we're joined by Amy Bourbeau, the co-founder and chief impact officer at Seismic, a sustainability advisory that helps businesses to change society and fix our planet by being a force for good. Amy specialises in B Corp and how its framework can help organisations improve their impact. She started working as the UK's first B Corp consultant in 2015 and has been committed to helping the community grow ever since. So please welcome me in joining these guests for our panel discussion today. Hi everyone, so I'm really excited. We've actually got one of the bigger panel discussions here with three guests. So this is going to be super exciting and a really great topic that we're starting off with. I kind of want to just jump off, talk to you, Celeste, and see if you can tell us a bit about what is a certified B Corp, and in short, what does a company have to do to be able to be a certified B Corp?
Brilliant. Thank you, Emily, and hello, everyone. So, what is a B Corp? Let's start right at the beginning. So it's a business that balances both purpose and profit. It's for-profit businesses. So it's not charities. It's businesses that want to derive profit, but want to do so in a purposeful and sustainable way. To become a B Corp, in short, there are two things you must do. The first is change your articles of association. So that's your legal charter, the legal reason for why your business is about. And so you have to change it to say that you work in the interests of all stakeholders in society. So still deriving profit for shareholders, but considering other stakeholders when making decisions. So balancing the environment, the community, your workforce and clients all within one and balancing them equally. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is you have to score over 80 points in their impact assessment. And there are 5 areas. Firstly, governance. So they look at your governance structures, who's in charge, are you considering sustainability within your decision making? The second's workers. So they look at your workforce, the composition of your workforce, are they being paid fairly, health and safety, the community. So do you give back to charity? And they also look at diversity and inclusion within that. The environment. So what does your carbon footprint look like, but also your waste management, water policies, etc., your supply chain as well, and then lastly your clients. So do you have sustainable propositions available to them, and do you treat them fairly? It's out of 200 points roughly, and 80 is the pass mark. And once you become a B Corp, you have to commit to improve year on year.
Fantastic. And obviously they sound like some really great things that companies have to do to obviously be of B Corp status, but what are the benefits that they can actually get out of this, but also what are some of the criticisms?
So I guess I'll start off with the benefits, and I'll talk from the Coutts and Co angle first. So for us, we were really proud to be the first UK headquartered private bank to certify. We're 330 years old, so I think it's pretty cool that we were able to do that. And at the time, I believe we were around the fourth largest, so scale-wise, impressive as well from a UK angle. So benefits, firstly for us, it was access to the B Corp community. So I think there are roughly 850 within the UK, but it's booming. They say there'll be 1,000 by the end of September. But having all those sustainable businesses at your fingertips is fantastic. And for us being highly regulated as an institution, it's a great way that we can collaborate with other businesses that we would never have access to before. So we've done collaborations with businesses like Innocent Drinks, The Body Shop, completely different to banking, which I think is fantastic. But also we've been able to partner with other banks and other financial institutions. So once you become a B Corp, you have the opportunity to join working groups, and we're in the B Finance working group. And it's interesting because it's not competitive. We want to encourage other finance firms to become B Corp certified, but we will be competitive on the score. So yeah, access to the B Corp community, but also credibility. So for us, we've really found it beneficial when talking to clients where we can talk about sustainability and have that credibility behind us, that we've gone through a rigorous process. It took us 2 years to certify. And we're not saying we're perfect, we're saying we're committed to improve, and we want to be transparent along the way. And a big part of that is B Corp scoring. So it's given us a really tangible way to track our progress through time. And because we have to recertify every 3 years, we're making sure it's baked into everything that we do from a company basis. But also our clients really care about it. And it was a client that actually suggested we went on the journey. So it's a great way to engage our clients and show our commitment that we're serious. But also internally too, it's been really interesting that people are citing us being a B Corp as one of the main reasons that they want to work for us. I think if you want to be the best in your field and have the best people, employees want to work for a company that cares more about than just generating profit. And so I think it's been a really great benefit for us and something we didn't anticipate would hit off as much as it has. But I think lastly, it's been a great way to shape the direction of travel. And once you're part of the B Corp community, it's a great way that you can talk to B Corp and educate them as to your own business practices. And we thought, do we want to take the position of being a front runner and shaping the direction of travel through time, or do we want to play catch up? And actually, it's been such an asset to be part of the community and part of the B Corp journey. And some of the negatives of B Corp. Obviously I'm a big advocate for it, but I guess the problem with B Corp is that it's the brand, right? And so you have to go through a very rigorous process to become a B Corp. It took us 2 years to certify. So please don't think it's a tick box. It's incredibly rigorous, at least on our side. And obviously we have to recertify every 3 years. The strength of B Corp is the brand. And so I think it's fair to say that it only takes a few brands that perhaps go against the B Corp image to then topple it, right? And so it's important that they keep up their rigorous standards. And I think it's just as much risk for us becoming a B Corp as B Corp taking on other B Corp brands. So it's an interesting transition. And how do they ensure that they uphold their standards? But I can say from our experience, it was thoroughly rigorous. So we're confident in B Corp at the moment. I think the other thing is it's the time resource. So obviously there's a monetary element to B Corp, but I would also say there's a big time commitment. Not only did it take 2 years for us to certify, but obviously there's the journey of recertification. And also you need to produce an annual B Corp report as well. And of course, when you recertify, you also want to improve. So there's that big strategy piece in between. So I'd say probably the biggest, I don't know if this it's not perhaps a drawback, but I think it's something to be aware of, that if you are going to be a B Corp, it's a big time commitment. And of course, you want to use that advantage to be part of the B Corp community too. But I'd say those are probably the two main ones.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think that's a really good introduction to this panel and like an overview of what B Corp really means and how, what it really takes to get involved. So I want to kind of throw over a question to Amy now, kind of following on from the conversation we've just had. Is there any value in becoming a B Corp beyond the certification itself?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Again, I'm also biased. I'm a massive advocate for B Corp, but yeah, there's so many. I mean, I think actually what Celeste just spoke to is some of the benefits that Coutts have been seeing. I would just massively echo in that. I mean, I think there's kind of a couple of levels to the value of being a B Corp. First of all, I would say a massive the kind of the core element of the value behind it is just the fact that it is built around the B impact assessment. That's the assessment you need to answer to become a B Corp. And that framework of the assessment, just being there as a tool to help you understand your performance and understand what you and hopefully inspire you and inform you as to what more you could be doing to be a better, more sustainable business. And then the fact that it not only provides you with that framework, but holds you accountable to it, to your kind of what you've committed to and to your stakeholders. That is really, kind of one of the core values of being a B Corp. But then beyond that as well, there's kind of, it depends on the angle that you're coming from and what you care about. So for example, if you're a founder or a family run business, one of the really tangible benefits is the fact that being a B Corp can help you to kind of formally preserve and communicate what your mission and values are as an organization, so that you're attracting the right kind of stakeholders, whether it be future investors or customers or employees, etc. It helps you to really embed that, and that's kind of goes back to the origin of B Corp and why it was founded, which I won't get into now, but I recommend looking up the origin story of B Corp. And then also, the fact that you're part of this amazing global community of thousands of businesses across all different countries, sectors, sizes, but you can all of a sudden learn from them, collaborate, share with them, etc. And then there's are kind of like holistic benefits, and then you've got the kind of value that comes internally as well, and kind of from a monetary or commercial point of view. So the fact that B Corps are more resilient, have been shown to be more resilient than standard businesses. In 2021, they grew 15%. B Corps grew 15% as compared to the national average of 1%, for example. And I think a lot of that has to do with some of the benefits of B Corp, again, like Celeste mentioned, but things like attracting and retaining talent. So 70% of candidates recruited by B Corps had mentioned it in their interview processes, and mentioned the fact that they wanted to work for this company because they're a B Corp. Attracting investors is a massive one. We have a number of clients who are investors, and they're specifically seeking to invest in B Corps or companies who are about to go on their B Corp journey. And then obviously there's kind of the value add to customers who are more and more aware and have higher standards of who they want to be working with, whether it's services or products that they're buying. So yeah, all of those are kind of massive value adds of being a B Corp.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of want to shift the angle a little bit and talk about, obviously, today's conference being sustainability, and obviously ESG and kind of those factors are kind of play into a huge part to play in kind of B Corp. But I wanted to send a question to Eloise about, obviously, sustainability as a whole. So we have obviously living in an age of social scrutiny, especially with online media. So I kind of wanted to ask about the difference between is it better to act sustainability without B Corp certification, or is it recommended to run the risk of then being accused of greenwashing if you do fail to be perfect?
I think I would start off by saying that B Corp doesn't mean perfect. It just means that as a company, you're engaging on this purpose driven journey that's really going to require environmental and social transformations within the company. But then, so that's kind of the first point I would say on the perfect side of it, or running the risk of perfection. But I think the main thing is it's always better to act sustainably with or without certification. And this is even going beyond safeguarding for the planet for future generations. Just as Amy said, it makes business sense. Your company's more resilient if you're sustainable. So it just makes sense. But certifications like B Corp are really useful to kind of push forward and mobilize that collective action. We've just talked about how there's these networks that form this community, and it's all moving towards the same path. And they can really provide guidance and frameworks to help companies be more ambitious, be more rigorous, be more transparent, and ultimately accelerate that sustainability journey. So going back to your question, I guess, no, I don't think you kind of run the risk of greenwashing if you are truly acting sustainably. But certifications like B Corp really provide that good framework and guidance to align your sustainability strategy and ensuring really that they're holistic and rigorous.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting because a lot of what we've a lot of what we spoke about today is obviously there's huge positives to this B Corp certification, and you even said across different industries and sectors, we want people to be able to achieve this. So I'm going to throw a question to you now, Celeste, about obtaining the B Corp certification. Is it a level playing field, or is it easier for others to achieve? Is it maybe easier in specific sectors or industries?
Super interesting question. So I think, to your point, Eloise, the B Corp impact assessment itself, without going the full hog, is such an important tool, probably the best free consulting tool out there on the market at the moment. And so, a lot of our clients have been looking at it and thinking, I may not want to become a B Corp, but I'm going to do it as a hygiene test and see what are the holes in my in my strategy, but also my supply chain, and what can I do to improve without becoming a B Corp, but having that proper hygiene test, and you can use it as a competitor analysis piece as well. So yeah, I'd say in terms of it being a level playing field, I mean, some businesses are automatically going to do better than others, right? So a good example is us. We're a finance-based business, and so we're going to score well in governance. Just the nature of our business. We're highly regulated. If a coffee roaster has the same, governance processes as us, that's amazing, right? So we're automatically going to do well. But there are other areas where we won't. So typically a lot of B Corps are more direct to consumer sort of product-based businesses, not service-based. And so for us in the customers section where it looks at product suites, I think there is a little bit of evolution that is going to happen over time. What I think is useful about B Corp is that they evolve the B Corp impact assessment every 3 years. And so it's also an education journey with them as well. And sustainability is an evolving standard. And to Eloise's point, it's not about being perfect, it's about being committed to improve. And also through time, things that are seen as sustainable now, perhaps we'll get new data and find out it's not sustainable in the future. I'd say in terms of it being a level playing field, to the point I made earlier, it's a big time commitment. So I would say if you're a smaller business, probably 8 employees and less, I do think it's going to be quite a big undertaking. I mean, quite easy because you can count around the room and collect data quite quickly. But in terms of impacting growth, I think it's something you need to think about. But then on the flip side, if you're a big business like us, there's going to be a big scale challenge. And so it can be quite difficult. But I think B Corp shouldn't be a North Star in the end goal. It should be a validation that you're on the right path anyway. So hopefully you'd be doing a lot of the work within B Corp already. So it's more of a data gathering piece and validation piece. But I'd say, yeah, automatically it's going to be harder, obviously, the larger you are, and conversely, the smaller you are as a business as well. I think the other challenge that we had was we're a subsidiary of a parent company. So that has added challenges, which we can go into later. But typically you have sort of the parent company and smaller brands that go through the certification. So a good example is Natura & Co. They're not a B Corp, but Aesop and The Body Shop are. So I'd say that's probably an added challenge. And data, through our scale, data was really difficult for us to collect, just because B Corp asked questions that perhaps we hadn't even thought about, and because of the scale of our client base and employee base, it took time. So I'd say it's probably more difficult on that aspect, but then obviously the benefits you can reach are great at the end.
Yeah, and I kind of want to throw the same question over to Amy, but I also have a stat here that says that less than 5% of businesses using the B Corp assessment are certified. So I wondered if you could kind of answer, do you think it's a level playing field, and what does it mean that less than 5% of businesses are certified?
Yeah. So I think that the thing about it being a level playing field to remember is that the impact assessment is tailored to companies based on their size and sector. So size based on number of employees, and sector at a kind of high level. So whether you're a service-based company or manufacturer or farmer or any of those things. And so in theory, it should be as difficult for everybody, because it's that difficulty, it's what is easy for a big company to answer might be hard for a smaller company to answer, etc. And to Celeste's point, it kind of depends on the angle you're coming at it from. But I've spoken to over 500 companies who are on this journey, and one of the most common things that comes up is small companies say, but it's so much easier for big companies because they have all this resource behind them. And big companies say, oh, but smaller companies are so much more agile. We have so many more, hoops to jump through and all of those things. So it's really dependent. And again, to Celeste's point, it depends on where you're starting from. Some of our clients, like Innocent Drinks, for example, when they first did the assessment, they were already scoring over 80 because they obviously are built and designed with impact kind of at the heart of what they do, versus the majority of companies. Average score for companies going through the assessment at first is 50 points. The point of B Corp is that it is meant to be tough. It's meant to challenge you, and it's meant to inspire you. So it's meant to be something that when you start out, most companies won't already be at 80 points. They'll have to work at improving, because it's meant to kind of inspire, a kind of rising tide. So I think that, and that's a great thing, right? That's the whole point behind it. I think, to answer your question of why are there only 5% of companies who are using the B Impact assessment who are certified, largely it's because of that. So there's over 200,000 companies who are using the B Impact assessment around the world, which I think, first of all, is fantastic. It's a free online tool anybody can sign up and use. If you don't already have a B Impact assessment audience, I recommend you signing up for one. Why I think we see that kind of percentage is that some of those companies will be, just kind of dipping their toe in the water and figuring it out. Hopefully, quite a lot of those companies are intending to go work towards certification at some point, but to the point of, depends where they're starting out from, that might be a 2-year journey or a 3-year journey, and they're just starting out by understanding, where are we at, what is our performance, and what is the gap between where we are now and where we want to be, and how can we build that roadmap. So that's the brilliant thing about the B Impact assessment. One of the things that we love it for is that it just provides you with that framework and that inspiration for what you can be doing. And even if you never certify, or even if you do certify but it's in a few years' time, that's okay. It's great to have something there to work towards, but just using it as that informative tool in the first place is where a massive amount of the value lies.
Fantastic. And I kind of just want to wrap up a question back to Amy about maybe, like, this is a broad question. It will hopefully move us into kind of a quick fire Q&A, and feel free if anybody else wants to answer this. But is B Corp enough? That's the overarching question. Amy, would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, I think no. It's as I said before, a massive advocate, but it's sure not enough. It should definitely be seen as the start of the journey. It's a massive achievement. You should be really happy and proud and celebrate the fact that you certify, and then go, okay, now what next? Just keep using it as that inspiration to continuously improve. And there's lots of ways that you can do that, both kind of by making sure it's properly embedded in your business. So engaging your team, making sure it feels like business as usual, not just like B Corp is a thing that sits over here. It should be just how you behave. And and setting yourself targets to improve. So at Seismic, we certified with 99 points, and we set a goal to recertify with 125, which now we have to do because I've told everybody here that we're doing it. And then there's other things as well externally, how you can kind of engage with it on a movement scale. So supporting campaigns like the Better Business Act, reaching out within your value chain, to Celeste's point about being, if you're a subsidiary of a parent company. So one of our clients, Sipsmith, they engaged with their parent company, Beam Centauri, to try and inspire them. And then they inspired their sister company, Maker's Mark, to go and certify as well. Another one of our clients is engaging with their value chain and their suppliers as to how they can help them to start measuring and improving their impact by using the B Impact Assessment. So continuing to set goals for yourself internally, and also kind of inspiring your community to do the same is some of the steps you can continue to do.
Fantastic. And Celeste, is there anything you kind of want to jump in there as well?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, just to continue on from Amy's point, I think one of the biggest kind of takeaways from B Corp is the advocacy piece that you spoke about. So for us, we have ultra high net worth individuals who have an astronomically higher carbon footprint, right, than the average retail consumer. So for us, it's that credibility piece. We didn't want to just go out to the market and say, hey, we're serious about sustainability, and not have something rigorous to back it up. But I think what we're using B Corp for is having those difficult conversations, educating clients. And I think that's sort of the starting point. So what can you do with your B Corp status to then bring about systemic change? And so for us, it's helping clients not necessarily become B Corps, but look at the sustainability of their businesses, but also on the investment side, holding other fund managers to account. Right now we have our own house in order. We're in quite a strong position to challenge. And similarly, when we're lending as well, we have some really great green mortgage products and lending products available, but what can we do to ensure that we're loaning it to the right people? And I think it's really interesting, and I completely agree. B Corp, as I said before, should not be your end goal. It should be a measurement that you're on the right journey, but it should be embedded as BAU, as part of what you do as your business. What I do think is really good about B Corp is it looks at your supply chain as well. And so there's a big supply chain education piece that you can go under and support too. But yeah, it's very much one. I see it as that credibility piece, that you're already doing the right things. You're not perfect. And to Eloise's point, it's not for perfect businesses. It's for businesses that are doing enough and want to keep improving. And it's about being unapologetically transparent, right? We're saying we're not perfect. We got 83.2, so we passed, which is great, but we have a long way to go to, reach the top marks that people are getting. I think someone got 150 points. So, we're not the best, but we also want to improve, and we want to bring clients along and suppliers along on that journey with us. And I think that's a really important piece in the market with so much kind of greenwashing, rainbow washing. I think we just need to be honest and transparent and document our improvement plans and hopefully inspire and educate at the same time.
Absolutely. And I think, you're absolutely right that this kind of B Corp is a great kind of segue and a great transition to talk about these sustainability goals and factors that we want to achieve. And so obviously I'm going to throw a question over to Eloise now, to kind of, do you have any advice for businesses who maybe want to act more sustainability without actually being a B Corp?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of the key elements from B Corp that we can take that you can kind of implement without going through the B Corp certification. So starting off with purpose, making sure the purpose of your company, why are you here? Does it align with sustainability? Is then you start embedding sustainability within the business. And I think that's a really key part, because that's going to affect your decision making and your culture of the company. And so then once you've done that, it's really okay. Can I go and set some long-term targets that will be complemented by a clear roadmap with shorter-term targets, and ensuring that you're covering that entire value chain. You can't just focus on you. You need to start bringing people up with you as you're going through your journey. And so we've done that at Schneider. We have 6 long-term commitments and a carbon pledge, which really provide kind of this guiding framework for our shorter-term sustainability strategies. And when we go about setting these targets, we kind of follow like a mantra, if you will. So we start off with like understanding the problem, how you measure it, start measuring our impact, commit, but really commit aligned with science, not just picking like a number out of thin air. Reporting, acting, improving, and then starting again. It's that really cyclical process of we can always be doing better. And we've used this when we've been defining our climate and biodiversity strategies, just as examples. And then really kind of bring it back to B Corp or just certifications in general. I think really leverage those external frameworks and certifications and make the most sense for your industry and your stakeholders and your value chain. What will your stakeholders get the most value out of from you? And probably a really important point, and links back to what Celeste was saying earlier about kind of that B Corp community, is just remember that you're not alone in this. Your stakeholders are most likely on this journey as well. And you also have a great internal resource. We have the same thing at Schneider. A lot of people have come and said they joined the company because of our sustainability or that it's a core part of the company. So really make sure you're engaging with that whole value chain that you have.
Fantastic. And actually, I think, unfortunately, we've run out of time, and that kind of wraps up our panel discussion for today. But, there's so many different avenues and so many things that we could have spoken about today, but it's a huge topic, and I'm glad that we're able to kind of use Sustainability Live to talk about this because it's massively important. And as we can see, there are huge positives to come out of it. So, just to wrap things up, a huge thank you to the guests today, obviously Celeste, Amy and Eloise. I really enjoyed our discussion and thank you to everybody who tuned in watching us live or those joining us in Business Design Centre in London. We hope you enjoyed as well. But of course, thank you, ladies. I've really enjoyed myself and thank you for sharing your wonderful insights.